My name is Lydia Nichole, and I am a multimedia artist, and I am the Mosaic artist here at Azul. And I've worked on several projects with Camille. I love working with Camille because I think something she and I have in common is that we like to be doing a lot of different projects at the same time, so that when it's not flowing on one, we just step away from it for a minute and we go work on another one. So this one right here that you can see is for the bathroom in her upstairs apartment, and it's going to be a koi pond with lily pads and lotus flowers and all of these really magical fish swimming underneath, which is a multicultural, has multicultural inspiration, but I'm from South Louisiana. I spent a lot of time in the Atchafalaya Basin, and there's, tons of lily pads and various algae and so on floating on the top of the water. And of course we don't have koi fish, but we have a lot of fish there, and the lotuses. So I really liked that little reference to pull in my little original home in. But we'll walk through later. In this space we've got the dolphins and the waterfalls, and we've got one that we're actually working on in the big house right now that is a skyscape. So it's going to be like this 2-panel piece. We have the sky up, and then at the bottom there's like the hint of a river, and then underneath the overhang is going to be under the water, so that's going to be really cool. Yeah. I've learned so much from Camille. She is really fun to collaborate with. She and I have taken some time, we've known each other for a few years now, to get to know each other's process, and that's been really powerful to move deeper into collaboration with her and to figure out how each other works. We both will, I don't know if she would agree with this, but I think I've kind of noticed this, that both of us will pitch an idea to the other one, and then we both have to go and like think about it and like work through it on our head away from each other, and then we come back together and we're either like, no, it's going a different direction, or yeah. So that's been really fun, especially when you find somebody to work with who just lets you create as yourself. You know, I think working as an artist who's worked mostly on commission, a lot of people kind of want you to become their arm. I will manifest my vision through your arms, and it's a really frustrating process for me to work with people who want to micromanage me. You know, I really like working with people who see what I do, see my style, see my flow, understand that I switch around a lot. I like to move. I'm not beholden to one look, and they just let me be creative. That's where the fun is. Okay, so here is the, I would say this is like the kind of the first project Camille and I worked on, and kind of the third project Camille and I worked on. So the cool thing about Camille, one of the many cool things about Camille, she's just like the structure of the heart of any project. And so with this one, we started over here, and she had, can I just tell the story of this project? Yeah. Excuse all the stuff. We've got construction zone here for Andrew's incredible carpentry in there, mind-blowing. So we started with all of this beautiful granite, which can't go on the floor, and Camille, of course, has been collecting reclaimed marble and granite, reclaimed materials of all kinds for 40 years. And she had all these mismatched pieces, and we spent hours on the floor over there just moving around, and we came up with these, like, they're almost like landscapes, like the earth from above. That was the first way that working with Camille really blew my mind, because I'll get like so sucked into the minutia, and suddenly it was like, scroll out, we're looking at a map of the earth, you know? And so it became that. And then this one over here is like so fleshy, and that's where the shower is, so that's kind of cool. It almost looks like, you know, blood vessels, and oh my god, just love it. So we created these shapes according to how we could make these colors fit together. And then these were going to be waterfalls in between, which actually came last. And then we moved away from that, and we went into the bathroom in the big house. And when we came back out here, we added this border, Camille's idea, this kind of beige border She was thinking that'd be sand. And then she drew out this Fibonacci spiral, which is one of her jams. She's so good at it. She adds it into so many of her compositions, and she knew she wanted it to be these blue tiles. And then she said, you can do whatever you want as long as it has an underwater theme and the tiles are large so that people can, since this is a major walkway, it'll be safer to walk on. So I first wanted to do whales because I have a thing for whales. And then ended up just deciding that I could actually be pretty life-size if I went with a school of dolphins. So that's how this composition came about. And then I left for a while, and another artist took over named Benny, and they added this outer, so I had already finished all of these guys. Benny added this outer edge of the waves going on the shore, and it was so cool to have another artist's hand in here, because I just love the way they rendered these waves. It's just not how I would have done it, and I like it a million times better than anything I would have come up with, for sure. And then this was like a collaboration between Benny and Camille and myself, because Benny cut out these sea turtles. And then I came back after Benny left and finished this composition, and it's just kind of been how all of our time works out with each other, you know? This waterfall, coming in all these directions, is mostly ceramic scraps, some cups and bowls, some rocks, and then this one is just glass. We had this really cool resident come through named Marcos, and he sent Camille all of these. Marcos Smith.
Yep.
Yeah, he was just the kindest person, and he sent Camille all of these incredible pieces of sea glass and river glass, and she's been dying to use them. And then this was from the broken window in the downstairs studio. Camille collected in a bucket. And I was like, can we use it? Can we use it? And she's like, I'm not so sure. And then she thought about it, and she asked Andrew and what he thought, and we decided to just go for it because it seemed pretty solid. And then this one, Camille's dear friend Nancy Durrell had given Camille tons of pottery over the years.
Oh my gosh.
And these are ones that have broken over the last 40 years. And all of them had this blue and brown line in common. So I started just chipping this line, wanting to create this kind of sinuous line here, and thinking that every time she was showering or sitting on her toilet, she could lovingly remember her dear friend. So this mosaic is, after we did all the wall, but before we did the dolphins, we moved in here, and Camille had already done that from here around to here, down here. And maybe like 10 years ago or something. She would know the date, but something around that. And then she had designed this fish. So anybody who had come to Azul for a potluck or whatever had seen the fish on a board on that desk right in there, looking just like that, but hadn't been installed yet. And so when Camille and I started working together, I remember the day we decided to, she brought out the picture that she had drawn of this lighthouse, which is on the coast of North Carolina. People recognize it, it's iconic. And it was, I was just learning the tile saw here, which is a really great tile saw, way better than the one I have at home. And it felt like it took hours to get these angles perfect. Oh my God, but I learned so much from that experience. We came, we threw them up, we got our grout lines nice and fat here. So I started learning about how grout lines are the line work in your drawings and mosaic from this composition. Then I was just dying to play with clouds. She let me threw that up. And then she showed me this fish and told me to design a second fish. And I wanted to make one that looked like it was made by the same hand. So that's where this fish came from. And then she drew the inspiration, I think, for these from just different Japanese patterns that she had seen. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that correctly, and it looks like it to me. So maybe that might be my mental association. But came in, laid the fish down, and sat here and hand clipped each of these on the spot. Laid them down. And then with this one, she had this Van Gogh painting that she really liked, and it was all these sailboats, but they were on the sand. And we decided to put them in the water because, you know, why not? And that gave the opportunity to play with reflection, which was really exciting for me. And then she just let me have free reign with this sun, which I really appreciated. And I had a blast doing that. And then when I had left, but before Benny came, Natalie, who is Andrew's wife, she grouted this for us and helped finish this piece. So this one feels really special to me too, because it has Camille and Natalie and my hands on it. It just feels like this collaboration with these two women that I really love. So this is, I guess, the current one we're working on. I say current, kind of smiling, because we're actually have our brains wrapping around 3 of them right now. But this is the one I'm actively working on. And this is the incredible scaffolding that everyone is putting up with, built so sturdily by Andrew. Thank you. This piece I learned so much. So Camille wanted me to do just this big space. She said just the sun, the sky, and then 4 inches of water. And I was like, at first, you know, like I said, I was like, and I was like, can we add a heron? Can we add, like, what can we add to it? You know, like, how do we fill the space? And she's like, no, keep it simple. And so it was such like a brain twister for me. I was like, how do I make this interesting? Oh, and she only wanted to use these subway tiles that she had reclaimed, which I understand now as I've worked more with Camille. She knows the stock of what she has collected so well. And she has so many mosaic projects in her head for us to work on over the years. Like, she started as I was kind of like, well, why can't we use other things? Like, I just want to, like, what if we added this other, you know, color or whatever? She said, no, just subway tiles. And then she started saying, we're going to mosaic this and we're going to mosaic that. And I started realizing, like, the extensive, incredible vision that Camille has for this place, like how she sees it. Like, I'm starting to, it's just how incredible her mind works, you know? And so I started realizing she only wanted to use these subway tiles because they can go on the wall and we have to save all of our porcelain for floor pieces. And so as I dug through the subway tiles, I was able to find a pretty good palette of different blues. And she said I could add clouds. So I started playing with cloud forms. And I had this kind of idea with the blues that it was going to have this, like, horizon, like almost a horizontal energy to it at first. And then I had this dream where there were all these different, like, squares. And through the course of this project, so in my home practice, one of my main mediums is I'm a paper cut artist. And so I started realizing that being a paper cut artist was just like training to be a mosaic artist, and that I need to, like, think of my mosaic grout lines with as much complexity as I think of my paper cuts. So I started with this Fibonacci spiral. I wanted to, like, give a little shout out to Camille on that one, and we pulled that in. Where that bend is, it makes it look a little kinked. It drives me crazy. I'm saying it out loud, but Camille told me it's fine, just leave it. So then I started thinking that there needed to be, like, rays out from the sun, but subtle, you know? So just paying attention to the way that all of these tiles come out is going to give this really subtle, like, light ray movement that's going to, like, go into the subconscious mind of the viewer. It's not going to necessarily be noticeable to most people, but it creates, like, a harmony for the person looking at it without them realizing it necessarily. It's really exciting to me. I feel like I learned so much from this composition, from the simplicity that she asked, and, like, how can I, like, really expand within that box was really fun. Yet another thing that I learned from Camille. I love working with her so much. Yeah. This mosaic, I mean, this medium, I work in so many different mediums, and this medium just fills my heart with so much joy. It's just so poetic, like taking broken things and making them into something new and something beautiful. Feels really profound.